Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Coach Red, where we bring you all the news, stories, takes, and opinions about your favorite teams from the Pacific North, fresh from the good to the bad to the Mariners.
The Mariners, baby. We're getting closer and closer each day.
Spring training is here.
Spring
It's
training
here.
is alive as well. The
It
bomb
has
squad
come.
is in full effect, but it's a little too early for us to have our overreactions on spring training. We're going to push that off for at least a week. So, we're going to get into something that's a little near and dear to my heart, and that is the NFL draft. And it is mock draft season. So, it is time for us to do our mock draft. But before we get into that, why don't I tell you who we are? If you're looking for a guy that will wear a Seahawks jersey and his new patented mock draft beanie, you might be looking for a guy like me, your boy Coach Red. You can find me on Twitter at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real underscore Coach Red. Hop on over to YouTube as well, Kicking It with Coach Red. Search at the real Coach Red to not only view, but also when you're there, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, smash the like button. Still waiting on the comments, you sorry suckers. So pick it up.
Lamos.
Got him.
If you're looking for someone that still uses the term lamos in a mock draft episode, you might be looking for a guy like Lefty France.
What up, peeps? Follow me on Twitter at Lefty France, on Instagram at DFrance13. Follow our pod while you're at it at Coach Red Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Follow us. Do it, freaking do it.
And if you're looking for someone with the knowledge and prowess of college football, this guy might even be considered a scout for all we know. It's Killing Kane. Kane, where you at?
Yes, it is me, Statosaurus Rex, aka Killing Kane. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube at Killing Kane.
Follow him. Do it, freaking do it.
Boom.
Gosh,
You almost missed out on that. Whew.
not that hard, people.
Oh, it gets me in mock draft mode. So, what we're going to do here, we've got 31 total picks because the Miami Dolphins have forfeited their first round pick, not by choice, but kind of by a choice that their owner made in trying to lure Tom Brady and Sean Payton to the team illegally. So, sucks to suck, Miami. But
Dirty rotten
Shouldn't
cheaters.
shouldn't have been there.
what we're going to do here is we're just going to go in order. We're doing no trades. We might get into a trade scenario down the line, but for our initial one, so there's going to be some movement. I would say in this year's NFL draft, I could see multiple teams in the top 10 and some even in the top 15 that get moved around quite a bit on draft day and maybe even before. So this is our pre-combine. Combine starts on Wednesday. We are recording this on Tuesday. So this episode will be coming out on your audio devices tonight and on YouTube tomorrow morning, primed and ready for the combine. So let's break it down. We're going to go first pick. We have the Chicago Bears. I'll go ahead and take this one. Chicago Bears taking Will Anderson, edge out of Alabama. One of the top guys going into the year, one of the top 5 guys right now in a majority of big boards. What you see with Will Anderson is great results. He's got height, weight, speed. He knows how to finish at the quarterback, super toolsy. And I think that with the Bears, you have Matt Eberflus there. He's a defensive sided head coach. What you want to see is bring in a pass rusher with the likes you have not had since you drafted Khalil Mack with the Bears. So was he ever? Yeah, then he got traded to the Raiders.
The Raiders.
No, started with the Raiders.
No, he started with the Raiders, went to the
Traded to the
Bears.
Bears. So
Then
the
he
best
got
guy that they
traded
wished that they
to
drafted,
the
but they
Chargers.
gave up a first round pick for him. So boom, Will Anderson, lock it in, Chicago Bears.
A
Pick
rare
2,
coach red
Houston.
slip up.
Houston Texans. Where are they going, Lefty?
They're going with a quarterback where they really need it. we think that they're gonna go with Bryce Young out of Alabama, one of the best quarterbacks in the draft. His size is a little iffy. Smaller guy. I think it said Bama weighed him at 194. Pretty small. But when you watch him play, it doesn't seem like anything phases him. He's got a level head and makes great play calls and just can control the field. Honestly, I think him going at 2 is a great pick for the Texans, and they really need a quarterback at this point in time.
Like it. All right, Cade. Pick 3. We've got the Arizona Cardinals. What are they doing?
Arizona Cardinals are going to select Jalen Carter out of
Jalen Carter.
out of Georgia. I mean, he is, and from what I've heard, the best player in this whole entire draft class. They lost a lot with JJ Watt retiring. This kind of fills a void for that line. You need somebody who's going to cause havoc, and he is definitely one of those guys who's going to battle in the trenches day in, day out, and would be my unanimous pick, I believe, for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Wow.
Like it.
Hot takes coming in strong. All right. Pick number 4, we've got the Indianapolis Colts. I'll go ahead and take this one. A guy who's been rising a lot recently. Give me Anthony Richardson, quarterback out of Florida. I think that in the last mock we were going to do, he was substantially lower, but he's been flying up the board a little bit. Super toolsy. He's out there posting videos of him just flicking the ball like on a laser to the sideline. It's bananas. And if you look at the Colts hiring Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator from the Eagles, who did the Eagles have? A very versatile run type quarterback that might not have had elite arm strength. Now you've got probably a less composed, a little bit more raw version of a Jalen Hurts, but the physical tools are all a step up. More prototypical size, speed to burn, arm strength to go crazy. And if you want a guy that has shown that he can grow and form a guy where Jalen Hurts, a second-round pick, wasn't necessarily looked at as a lock to be a starter. He was kind of a guy they brought in case Carson Wentz failed. He ends up taking over the job and running for it, becomes, a top 5 candidate for MVP. I'd like to see what Shane Steichen can do with Anthony Richardson.
Yes, sir.
All right. Pick 5, the Seattle Seahawks via the Denver Broncos.
Thank you, Denver.
Thank you. All right. Lefty France, who you got?
I got Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech, edge defender. This is something that the Seahawks could really use at this point. He's a massive guy. I think 6'6", 275, but super fast, and can really just fill that defensive line for us and be able to attack the rushing game and even get to the quarterback at times. And he's great at covering tight ends, and that's something that could help in the long run too. So I think Tyree Wilson would be a huge piece for us. And I think if he does have cons, then Pete and the defense can really allow him to be way better.
Yeah. And I read something too with him where it said, back in like NCAA football before it got banned, where you're recruiting and you could make your own players. They said Tyree Wilson looks like a player you made.
For real.
It was like 99 across the board, like height, weight, speed galore.
No, for sure.
All right. Next pick. We got pick 6. We've got the Detroit Lions via the Los Angeles Rams. Detroit Dynasties love the Rams. All right, Kane, who you got here?
They're going to stay the par of defense here, and they're going to take a cornerback out of Oregon, and that is Christian Gonzalez. You're going to add this caliber of player, shut down, great hands. I mean, he had 4 picks on the year, returned it for 118 yards, had his longest for 77. I mean, the dude is an absolute athlete. And when you compare him to those young cornerbacks and young defense, I mean, last year they drafted Aiden and Malcolm Rodriguez. And years prior, it was Jeff Okuda and Amani Oruwari. Got it.
Don't say names you can't pronounce. So we're going to cut you out like half the episode.
But it adds to this depth on this young defense that they want to try to force out there. And I think this would be a step in the right direction, especially after last year's draft and how their team projected at the end of the year. So they're going cornerback.
Next spot, we've got the Las Vegas, and no, I didn't say Oakland, even though I thought it in my head, Raiders at pick 7. They've got a hole right now, releasing Derek Carr, and they've got weapons available to them, with the likes of, I don't know, Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow. So I'm going to get someone to distribute to them. I'm going to go with CJ Stroud out of the Ohio State. If there's a guy in this quarterback class that's going to be most pro ready day one, I think it's CJ Stroud. Out of the guys that we're going to talk about in this first round, I think that his overall floor is the lowest out of all of these guys, just because I think the rest of them have such a high ceiling that they could get to with their physical tools and with Bryce Young's leadership and ability to distribute. But I think that if you're looking for a guy that is going to be more in the pocket, he's going to be able to distribute. That's what you want. And if you look, the coach here is Joshy Boy McDaniels, where he's used to ball out quick, hit your targets. And you saw a lot of that this year lacking because of injuries to Hunter Renfrow, to Darren Waller, and a lot of balls being force-fed Devontae Adams' way. I think that if you can get all these guys healthy and right, put a decent backfield mate, maybe re-signing Josh Jacobs, you're a step in the right direction for the Raiders.
I mean, you touched on him being a pocket guy, but you can't ever count him out with his legs either.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that he's going to be as apt to run like Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, or Will Levis. Those guys are going to be a little bit more running ability comparative to CJ Stroud.
Right. But my thing is he's more smart about it than most. If he needs to, he'll run.
Yeah, pro ready. That's what I said.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I was trying to, just trying to be smart here. So,
I know. Hey, that was a good point. I'll give it to you, but now we're going to skip you because it's not your turn yet. We're going to go to Lefty France here at pick 8 with the Falcons. Where you got them going?
Going cornerback, Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. Honestly, I can't tell you who is a corner right now for the Falcons.
AJ Terrell.
Exactly.
Former first rounder 2 years ago.
They definitely need another one, and their defense is not great. So I think going Devin Witherspoon at corner will fit just perfectly. Last year, he allowed a completion rate of 34%, and had 14 pass breakups, which
pretty solid numbers.
Yeah, he's all over the field and can cover the receivers deep and just short routes, and also loves to come in and make tackles on the run game too. So that's something that they could really use, and I think Devin Witherspoon really will fit in great there.
I think with Devin Witherspoon too, you look at Illinois actually pumping out some DBs. Kirby Joseph for the Lions this last year was absolutely game wrecker for him. So Devin Witherspoon's probably the high, if he goes at 8, would be one of the highest Illini ever drafted.
Nice. The Fighting Illini.
Pick number 9, the Carolina Panthers. Kane, where we going?
Carolina Panthers are gonna select a quarterback this year. They really need one. They only have 2 quarterbacks on the roster right now, and one of them is Matt Corral. And I do not believe that they have any faith in him.
I
So
think they do. He
they,
was injured all year.
yeah, but that's why they're going quarterback. And it's, well, they're going Will Levis out of Kentucky. And I really like this fit, especially with how you saw Shaq Thompson and, or not Shaq Thompson, Buddha, what's his name? Chuba Hubbard. That's his
Chuba.
name. And Dr. Foreman kind of break out. Plus, you have DJ Moore on the team. I like this fit a lot. He's a lot of upside, as they've said in comparisons. He is Josh Allen 2.0. Just maybe a little bit more ready. He's big, strong arm, threw 19 touchdowns on the year, almost 2,400 yards. The dude's a certified stud, and the Panthers are going to be lucky to have him.
Dude, this Panthers coaching staff is offensive oriented too. You get
Yeah.
Frank Reich coming in. Your like
I
associate
really
head
like Frank.
coach is Jim Caldwell. Like, if you're looking for a team that has nailed the coaching process this year, it's the Carolina Panthers.
And their
And
defense is pretty freaking good right now too. So I think
I wouldn't
focusing
be
on offense is
shocked to see them in a hopeful playoff position at the end of the year.
Somebody's got to win the NFC South.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
So be on the lookout for that. Will Levis, Carolina Panthers, incoming.
All right. Pick number 10 for the Philadelphia Eagles by way of the New Orleans Saints. I'm going Miles Murphy, edge out of Clemson, former 5-star recruit, high pedigree, can go get after the passer, has been able to use his size and athleticism to his advantage throughout his college career. You have some guys getting older along that defensive line. You've got like the Brandon Grahams and stuff like that that are kind of getting out there. This would be a great guy to partner with Josh Sweat, being able to keep that pass rush high with and Hassan Reddick that's playing that outside linebacker role. I mean, let's make the rich get richer here, and this is a luxury pick for him being this high. And just the thought of getting a Miles Murphy on this team has got to have Sirianni and company just wetting their whistle.
Yeah, they're in full run it back mode.
Licking their chops.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's full run it back mode, and this Eagles defense is terrifying as is. And you had a player like that. I'm sorry. Like, what quarterback is safe?
Yeah.
The backup
Not me.
quarterback was on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Can't tackle him. That's a flag.
I mean,
All right,
sheesh.
pick number 11, going down to Tennessee with the Titans. Lefty, what you got?
I got Broderick Jones at left tackle out of Georgia. Guy is a super athletic tackle. He's just a massive dude too, and Georgia produces those left and right. I believe he played high school basketball, which shows he's got some athleticism in him, and can just be a monster in the run game, power, zone, anything they need. And with Taylor Lewan leaving or getting cut, I don't really know, or retiring.
I think he's. I believe he's getting cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. He delivered his gear to his house. He's like, thanks for letting me keep the shoulder pads.
Yeah, with him being gone, that opens a huge hole at left tackle. And I think Broderick Jones, perfect fit for the Titans.
Right? They need one. They really do.
Yeah,
And it did not work out for him this year. I mean, Tannehill went down. You had Malik playing. You had Josh Dobbs playing.
Yeah, they were struggling, and they need someone to protect the quarterback.
Exactly. And let Derrick Henry just run all over the place.
Yeah.
That's their success.
For sure.
All right, next pick, we've got pick 12, Houston Texans. It's our first double pick here. This came via Cleveland. Kane, where you going?
You just drafted your franchise quarterback, right? At pick 2.
Yep.
Now you need like Brandon Cooks is. I
Cooked.
mean, he's cooked. He's
Yeah, he is.
you can't deny that he's still a great receiver, but his just head's not there in Houston.
He
But
wants
maybe
out.
He does.
with this quarterback change and getting a little help, this is where the first wide receiver is going to be taken, and it's none other than Jordan Addison. I mean, the dude almost had 1,000 yards on the season, helped his teammate win the Heisman. 8 touchdowns on
Lednikoff
the
winner
year.
2 years ago.
Yeah, the dude's a certified stud, and it's just a smart pick. You need to have a safety valve, and he kind of fits that description for him. So I think Houston Texans kind of tried to turn this whole thing around. They got a great new head coach, and he really wants to show out. So Addison is the pick.
Nice. All right. Next pick,
Nice.
we've got the New York Jets, and we're going back to the Ohio State and going with Paris Johnson, tackle. And where I think he slots into this team is right tackle. You've got George Fant, whose contract is up. You have Mekhi Becton, who has been oft injured but a physical freak. So at least with this, you can start Paris Johnson on the right side right now with having Malik on the left side, and then Malik Becton. Let's just go with Becton on the left. So that way he can potentially transition to left tackle further on in his career. This is a guy that's played on the left and right side in college, is a guy that's been talked about in the first round for over a year. Fitting for me for him to be the second guy that can start on the right side and has versatility to go left further on in his career. Next pick, we've got the New England Patriots. Lefty, what are they doing?
They're going wide receiver Quentin Johnston out of TCU. Guy at 6'4", 215. They're comparing him to Alshon Jeffrey. Super quick guy, athletic, can make the deep ball plays. Pretty much has a huge catch radius, can get to a lot of balls. And I think with Mac Jones at QB, this is something that the Patriots really needed, is a big receiver that can go up and make those plays. And I think Mac Jones and him could get along real nice because Mac Jones doesn't have a guy right now that he can trust to make those deep plays. So I think they're going Quentin Johnston, TCU at wide receiver.
It kind of adds to their young core that they have at the wide receiver group, and not to mention their running back group. I really think that him and Kendrick Bourne would be a huge compliment to each other.
For sure.
And he could be a true number one because your number one wideout last year was Jacoby Myers out of the slot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Pick 15. Oh, I've been waiting for this one all day. Pick 15. Green Bay Packers. Kane, where are they going?
They're going tackle out of Northwestern. Peter Skoronski.
He said it right. We had to go over it 5 times before the show recorded.
That's true. But Skoronski, he's a physical presence there at tackle, and that's one thing you've seen lacking with this Packers offensive line those last couple of years. I mean, not the last couple of years, this last year, like most preferably. Aaron Rodgers just did not look good. His O-line was not great. Collapsed around him all the time. Wide receivers missing cues left and right. You need to bolster that in hopes that he may come back. So going Skoronski here really, really solidifies that. Coach Red, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I think that with David Bakhtiari getting older and becoming less effective, I think he still slots in at a tackle spot for you. But Peter Skoronski is a little bit undersized, so I think starting at guard might not be the worst thing for him. So they have versatility to move him across the line. He's played on both sides at Northwestern, was looked at as the number one guy in this tackle class leading up to the season. But with his measurables being a little bit lacking, he might not be that first tackle, but I think that whoever drafts him is going to get a good football player. And I think that whether it is Aaron Rodgers or Love running the show, you got to make sure that you shore up that line. And I think this would be a good guy to bring in, good in the pass, but also can block in the run, get Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon toting the rock for you. All right. Pick 16. This one was a tough one. Being Lefty did an original mock draft. We did a second one because some things had changed. But this was a sneaky pick that I wanted to stick with. And that's Michael Mayer, tight end out of Notre Dame. So you've got Logan Thomas, who's injured damn near every day of the week out there. You don't have a quarterback after Heineke's a free agent and you just cut Carson Wentz. But this is not the realm where we're taking another quarterback. Hendon Hooker and Tanner McKee are probably the next two guys. If McKee goes in the first, it's definitely not going to be here. And Hendon Hooker is probably not going to touch the field this year coming off the ACL injury he had late in the year. So let's go ahead and put another weapon on this. Your wide receiving core is pretty solid with Jahan Dotson and Scary Terry as your top two guys. So bringing in a good guy that can complement in the tight end game is something that the Commanders have been lacking for years. So I think that this was one where we didn't try to get too cute, but got a little bit cute by going tight end overall at 16.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't really had anybody dominant since Layton Thomas for that short stretch of time.
My point exactly.
Yeah.
He can't stay on the field.
No.
So next team, number 17, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lefty, where are they going?
They're going cornerback Joey Porter Jr. out of Penn State. 6'2", 200-pounder. Guy has the potential to be a cornerback one, honestly, with some time. His dad also played in the NFL, was a stud.
For the Steelers.
Yeah, for the Steelers. And I think the Steelers like to go with these types of guys. So
I think he's on their staff right now, too.
Oh my God!
Like Joey Porter
Even
Sr.
better.
is on an NFL staff right now. I believe it's the Steelers. I'll
Even
fact
better.
check while you give me more about Junior.
But yeah, he's athletic dude. Smart hands, can recover on receivers if they get by him, and can win high point balls even if he's getting beat. So that could lead to a lot of interceptions for him in the future. So I think cornerback right now, Joey Porter Jr. really fits what the Steelers are looking for. They love their defense.
Never mind. He's coaching in the XFL.
Oh, what team? Sea Dragons?
No, the San Antonio, whatever they are, Rough Riders, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Roughnecks. Hines Ward is the coach, so he went on the staff as the linebacker coach.
Interesting.
All right, next pick, we've got pick 18, the Detroit Lions. Kane, where are they going?
So they're gonna stay the course and go defense because last year they still went defense, but they also got that offensive talent. But I think they're going to stick with defense here, and they're going to go to an interior lineman, and it's going to be Brian Brees out of Clemson. And Clemson has this just weird thing that you've seen out of the last couple of years, and it's defensive guys going in the first
linemen.
Yeah, going out in the first round. You need somebody to pair with that young rookie, not rookie anymore, but still that young core that they have. And you throw in this guy in to stuff the middle. I mean, he can get some pressure on the quarterback, 3.5 sacks on the year, but you get a little pressure, stop the run game. You're looking at a playoff-bound Lions team this year.
Yeah, and I think they're still a little disappointed with the Levi Onwuzurike picked 2 years ago in the second round. He's been hurt and underperformed. So I think getting a guy in that has the pedigree of coming from Clemson and has some good stats, can play base edge, but also bump inside too, has the size and athletic ability to handle both. No brainer here.
Yeah.
Next pick, we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And for me, this guy was still on the board and wanted to find a good place for him. And with some of the guys getting older in the secondary and some guys coming up for deals, went with Brian Branch, safety out of Alabama. Brian Branch, pretty versatile, can play that box safety that you like to see, can also cover in the slot and can play over the top. When you're talking about versatility, Brian Branch is the guy, was the leader of that Alabama defense, where they'll probably have another guy drafted next year. Like, I think it's Kool-Aid McKinstry. Great name.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah, but Brian Branch was the leader of that squad, and Alabama usually pumps defensive talent into the NFL. And recently they've been pumping a lot of DBs. And if you're the captain of that squad on the defensive side, you typically do pretty well when you make your foray into the NFL. And I think Brian Branch is going to be that next guy. And I think with the losing of Tom Brady, I want to shore up that defense first and be able to stop players or stop teams from scoring points on me, because when you score more points than the other team, you win more often than not.
What?
Right. And it's like you've said in the past, they've kept try to run that Super Bowl team back every single year, and they're not getting any younger. And this gets them a lot younger. It gets you a really, really ready guy who can slot in to be that captain that they need.
Yeah.
All right, next pick, number 20, the Seattle Seahawks lefty. Where are we going here?
Going wide receiver, Jackson Smith and Jigba out of Ohio State. I really like this pick, with D. Eskridge just not doing it for us, being hurt.
Is D. Eskridge not giving you your jollies?
No, he does not give me
You
my
really
jollies.
don't have a true number 3 on this team either.
Exactly. And Jackson Smith is gonna be that number 3 for him. Open up DK and Lockett. It's gonna be hard to guard all 3 of those guys. Super fast guy. And I think Smith and Jigba averaged 192 receiving yards per game in the last 5 games or something.
I think it was probably
I think
the
might have
last
been
year, 'cause he was pretty
2021.
injured this last year.
Yeah. But super, just a deep ball guy too, can beat people, beat corners. And yeah, I just think this is a guy that the Seahawks could really use at wide receiver to make it a 3-headed monster.
Yeah, and to kind of cap on that, you get him some time with Lockett one-on-one, right?
Yeah.
Just like how he had with Doug.
Yeah.
And just to think about the things that he could teach him to, like, I mean, hell, he could even surpass DK with that method, you know? So
Wow.
No,
I was gonna say I like that he has inside outside versatility,
Yeah.
so you could run him in the slot or outside. You flip flop him and lock it. Kind of tough to lock in on one guy, so someone's always going to be getting single coverage, and we haven't really had that 3 type receiver set since probably Doug Baldwin, Golden Tate, and then call it Percy Harvin or Jermaine Curse. So,
and watching him, he's just a smooth wide receiver. It doesn't, you don't really see a lot of flaws in him. So,
yeah.
could be nice.
Also, one of the reasons CJ Stroud was really good this year. So
wasn't this year. That was thanks to Mecca Ibuka from Squim from Washington and Marvin Harrison Jr.
True.
Yeah, but he was the catalyst with CJ Stroud the year prior. Number 1 guy. All right, pick 21. We're going to LA with the Chargers. Kane, what you got?
So the Chargers are kind of in a tough spot here. You're getting aging Keenan Allen, can't stay healthy. Mike Williams can't stay healthy. You had Gerald Everett out there, who was very hit or miss on the year. So we're gonna look at the second tight end taken off the board, and that's gonna be Luke Weaver or Luke Musgrave out of Oregon State. Sorry.
The Beavers.
Um, it's something they need is that surefire tight end. Because when you think about the last 20 years of Chargers football, really, it was
Phillip
Antonio
Rivers.
Gates, and then it transitioned into Hunter Henry. And then you haven't had anybody, I want to say the last 3 years, because I believe 3 years ago is when he signed with the Patriots.
2 years ago.
So they haven't had a real dominant force. And not to mention your 1 and 2 receivers are injured most of the time. And you're running, Josh Palmer and DeAndre Carter out there who were sufficeable throughout the year. But, you need a surefire guy. Didn't have the best stats on the year last year. You're looking at 11 receptions, 169 yards. But the one thing you do like to see is for that, it was 15 and a half for his average. That's pretty decent.
The thing with the Beavs, though, is they had so much inconsistent quarterback play because when their starter went down early in the season, they were running a guy out where their run game legitimately in the Civil War at like the 3-minute mark of the second quarter, they did not pass the ball the rest of the game. They ran it and came back and won, being down multiple scores. That's how much confidence they had. I want to say in the run game, but I think it was more lack of confidence in who was slinging the rock for him.
Yeah.
And one of the things, he could be one of those blocking tight ends as well.
But Musgrave is blowing it up. He blew up the Senior Bowl. He's probably one of the biggest risers that I've seen outside of Anthony Richardson, because Anthony Richardson was kind of looking at, pick 20 being the high, and I've seen him going number 1 in mocks sometimes recently, but Musgrave is a guy where I think we had Dalton Kincaid here, but Musgrave just keeps flying up boards for me. And I think that he fits that. He's got the body type to be a good pass catcher. He doesn't drop a lot of balls when thrown his way. He just didn't have a lot of opportunities because the quarterback play at Oregon State wasn't the highest. Should change this next year.
And he didn't want to leave because it's his hometown. So,
yep. All right, next pick. We've got pick 22, the Baltimore Ravens. And we're going to go Lucas Van Ness, edge out of Iowa. And if I'm looking for a team that takes guys that might not have the production stats in college, but are physical freaks, what were you saying, Kane, his nickname, or was it Lefty? His nickname is Hercules.
Hercules, yeah.
He was, and one thing I read said that he was blocked by like 2 high character seniors for a while. But this guy has measurables off the charts. So when you look at a team like the Ravens, who took Owe out of Penn State a couple of years back, didn't have the sack production, and immediately goes on this team, and I think had 8 sacks in his rookie year. So they're very good at drafting and developing. And they've got, the guy from Michigan that they basically redshirted this last year. You don't have to bring him along super quickly. God, what was his name? It's not Aziz Ojolari, but I think it's like O. He wasn't drafted in the first round. I just know the first round stuff. So, but big time pickup for them, and it just solidifies that defense because it's that tough, hard-nosed hitting defense that you like to see from Baltimore.
Yep.
Next pick, Minnesota Vikings at pick 23. Lefty, where are they going?
They're going cornerback Cam Smith out of South Carolina. They're comparing him to AJ Bouye. Decent corner. Don't know if he could make it to be a cornerback 1, but definitely a cornerback 2. Can read the quarterback, jump throws, and just kind of cause disruption in the passing game. And he's quick. He can recover on receivers getting by him and attacks the ball in the air. So I think he'll have a lot of pass breakups and maybe some interceptions. I think this could be big for him.
And the Vikings need help on defense.
Yeah.
That was seen big time.
Yo.
All right. Next pick going to Jacksonville. The Jaguars at pick 24. Kane, where are they going?
So with the recent surgeons this last year of the Jaguars, I mean, Doug Peterson, what he has done wonders with that team. They're gonna help themselves out defensively and go edge out of Georgia with Nolan Smith. This guy who can create some havoc. I mean, this whole team is really, really young. And you got to keep the high pressure flying pressure on the quarterback, run game and possibly drop back into coverage as well. On the year he had 3 sacks, 18 total tackles. One of the things that they need is just a good edge guy. And I think Nolan's them. So, Coach, if you got anything else to add, go ahead.
Yeah, I've seen some things where Josh Allen, the edge rusher for the Jags, I've seen his name being floated around a little bit in some trade talks. So I think with Nolan Smith, you pair him with Trayvon Walker, who was also out of Georgia the year prior. Nolan Smith, with everything that I'm seeing, was one of the emotional leaders on that team. And when you pair him with, Trayvon Walker, you've got Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma in the linebacker room that you drafted last year. Like, you're putting together a young front seven, and I think that could be super key for to keep that resurgence up. They're playing on the young card. Doug Peterson is just making hay with it.
Yeah.
All right.
Dougie P.
The next spot, we've got the New York Giants at pick 25. This was a tough spot for me. I saw some reports that good old Kenny Golladay, one of the worst signings that was ever made because he wasn't on the field and was a healthy scratch a lot this year.
Yeah.
I wanted to try
like
and
one
get
reception on the year.
It was bad. I wanted to try and get kind of a bigger, taller wide receiver, but there wasn't one that fit for me. So I went with Zay Flowers out of Boston College. This dude is yak in a bottle. He not great quarterback play at Boston College since the times of Matt Ryan. So he's doing a lot after the ball's in his hands. And that's where you've seen good things for Giants receivers in recent years, mainly Sterling Shepard, where these guys are getting the ball and they're making their hay, getting that yak. And I think that if they're bringing Daniel Jones back, which it sounds like that's their intention, Daniel Jones isn't great at throwing a deep ball. I think that if you can get quick reads over the middle, crossers, getting guys going across, making moves, he can still do stuff with his legs. I think Zay Flowers could be one of those pieces that helps elevate them a little bit more in the NFC East.
I saw you put on like 15 pounds of muscle, and guy he's freaking jacked. Yeah. Not very tall, but guy is stacked.
Thick.
It'll help out good old Danny Nichols, baby.
Danny Nichols. All right. Lefty, we've got pick 26, the Dallas Cowboys.
They're going defensive tackle Kalijah Cansey out of Pittsburgh.
You nailed that name.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I didn't say it.
Just wait till the next pick. I'm gonna butcher it.
He's not gonna butcher. But Kalijah Cansey, not a very tall guy. Big body, 280 pounds, 6 foot. But he's quick. Guy can get to the quarterback. Great pass rusher. He had 14 and a half sacks and 27 and a half tackles for losses in the 2 years as a full-time starter. Means the guy can get to the quarterback, and that is something that the Cowboys could really use. Their defense,
especially from the interior.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think he is a hit or miss guy. Like, he could not produce in the NFL, but he seems like the guy that will work his butt off and get to the quarterback, and that's something that the Cowboys really need on the D line right now. So Kalijah Cansey, it's kind of a fun name to say.
I know. I was like thinking Kalijah, but I like Kalijah a lot better. All right, pick 27, The Buffalo Bills. I'm ready to see how you can butcher this because this is one of the most recognizable names in college football.
Well, here we go. So what were the one thing that you would consider lacking on this Bills team? And I would think that it was the running back position. You
I'd agree.
have Devin Singletary, who's a very hit or miss guy.
Free
Zach
agent
Moss was
is
Now
gone.
now they got
then
Naeem.
you have Naheem Himes, and then
Cook.
what's his name? Yeah, Dalvin's
James.
brother.
James.
Didn't
Dalvin's
have
little brother.
they didn't have a lot of faith in the running back play this year. Singletary was your leader, could kind of catch the ball as well, but they need to go running back here, and they're gonna go Bijan Robinson.
Bijan.
I was close.
Bijan
close.
Robinson.
Just say it really fast.
All right.
Kind of flows.
So this is everything you're kind of looking for, right? You had a guy who had 1,500 yards on the year, almost 20 touchdowns, averages over 6 yards per carry, and on almost 260 attempts. It's not bad. You want a workhorse. And, Texas breeds different players, So going running back here, it kind of puts them at that next level because it's one thing they've been missing out on. You can't win games when your quarterback is leading rushing. You really can't.
Yeah.
It's not a good position you put yourself in as a team. So
if I'm not mistaken, he's a decent guy out of the back, like can catch the ball out of the backfield too. Which gives Josh Allen a security blanket too. And they definitely need to be a little bit more balanced. Josh Allen he should be throwing the ball 60 plus times a game, but
I agree.
Having a more balanced offense to be able to run and open up Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis and them, I agree.
If you compare him with James Cook with what they actually value him as, and he can get those fumbles under control, I think this would be a duo you need to look out for in the league.
For sure.
Well, Bijan Robinson is probably the best running back prospect to come in the league since Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I did see comparisons to Saquon.
It's bananas.
Is crazy.
I could also see him going as early as pick 10.
Yeah.
To the Eagles to replace Miles Sanders.
Yeah.
I mean, he don't care about your fantasy points. All right? He don't care.
He don't.
But I care about the Bengals at pick 28. And where I'm going to have them go is offensive tackle out of Oklahoma, Anton Harrison. And with Harrison, you get a very athletic build in the tackle room. And I know that this is like beating a dead horse for the Bengals, who have probably in the last 10 years drafted 7,000 tackles. My math serves me correct. But Jonah Williams, 2 years ago when they made the Super Bowl run, was healthy and playing very well, but his career's been plagued by injury, and we're getting into that make it or break it year. So having that depth along the line, I think, is key. And this is a guy that you ended up having Jackson Carman, who was a second-round pick 2 years ago, start for you in the playoffs at tackle. And you've had some tackle troubles for this team with Lael Collins being hurt as well this last year. Bring me Anton Harrison and let him learn under these guys and eventually get that starting role.
Right, and one big thing is, how do you win games? Keep your quarterback up.
Score more points than the other team.
You keep your quarterback up. I mean, as you pointed out, their offensive line has been plagued with injury. Joe Burrow is one of the most hit quarterbacks in the league, and they really need to bolster that and keep him upright, because when Joey Burr is upright, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
It is dangerous. It's my favorite quarterback in the league. Not gonna lie. I love Joe Burrow.
He's a stud.
Yeah. All right, next pick, we're gonna go with God. How many places has this pick been traded? So, all right, we're going with the New Orleans Saints at pick 29 via the 49ers, who traded it to the Dolphins, who traded it to Denver for Bradley Chubb, and Denver traded it for Sean Payton.
Yeah, no one wants the 29th pick, I guess.
Well,
apparently the Saints do.
New Orleans does.
True. They're gonna go Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback out of Mississippi State. This guy is the definition of a ball hawk. Long guy, and I believe he had 14 career interceptions with 6 pick sixes.
3 last year.
Yeah. The guy knows how to take the ball away, and that's what any defense wants. So the Saints getting him at 29, where no one else wanted the 29th pick. I'd take 14 picks and six pick sixes. But yeah, this guy's long and can just recover off anything, makes great plays, and really would fit in with the Saints in this situation.
Yeah, the only downside is he can be a little over aggressive, which could lead to some big plays. If I were going to compare him to a guy, it'd kind of be like Trayvon Diggs. But imagine this guy going across for Marcus Lattimore.
Yeah. Exactly.
To steal a line from Lefty France, love to see it.
You do love to see it, really.
All right. Pick number 30. We've got the Eagles on the clock again. Kane, where are they going with this pick?
Sirianni's going to do it again, and it's going to bolster their offensive line. And they're going with a guard out of Florida, Osiris Torrance. You're throwing this rookie in to a line where they had so much success on the year. Not to mention, I believe they had a rookie standout this past season. And they had 2. There we go.
2 years ago.
All right. Well, they're going to have another one this year, especially when you pair him with 2 future Hall of Famers in Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson. Dude's going to learn a lot, bolster that offensive line, and keep Jalen just balling. I mean, it's always Jalen Hurts season, especially when he's in Philly. So, you have to add to this line, let those running backs run, protect your quarterback, let him throw all over the place, and make the Super Bowl again. Absolutely love this pick.
Yeah, I think with this pick, it's some insurance for Jason Kelce eventually retiring, because you have Landon Dickerson, who was a center in college at Alabama that's been playing guard for you. And then you've got, what is it, Sao Filo or whatever his that I can't pronounce as the other guard, who's blah, 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 Pro Bowler. So I think with Torrance, this dude is massive. He's like 350, like 6'6". The dude is a big boy, and I think that he slots into that guard spot when Landon Dickerson eventually takes over the center role. Have him on this team, injury insurance at the beginning, and then let this kid roll and just maul in that run game.
Yeah.
Last pick of the first round, pick 31, the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. They've got some question mark at wide receiver for me. You've got Juju Smith-Schuster up. You've got Mecole Hardman's deal is up. So I think the guys that you have under contract are Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney,
and
MVS Marquez Vasquez Scandling. Valdez
Scantling. Come on
Valdez. There's too many Z's in that name. All right, where I'm gonna go is Tennessee, and we're gonna go Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver out of Tennessee. Blew up this year. What I would say for Jalen Hyatt, he's an explosive playmaker, and you've got that possibility with Toney and with Sky Moore. And he's a little bit smaller. He's only clocking in at about 6 foot, but he's got some speed and over the top. Hendon Hooker was feasting with Jalen Hyatt this year before his injury. I think that you insert him with Patrick Mahomes, you might see the evolution of Patrick Mahomes getting these younger wide receivers to the level he got with Tyreek Hill. So you've got young guys on rookie contracts. Your starting wideouts would all be on their rookie contracts with Travis Kelce patrol in the middle. And these guys are only going to get better as time goes on when they get more acclimated to what Patrick Mahomes does best, which is ball out on the football field.
Especially in this offense,
And
is what I was going to say.
You throw him in there, like you said, to get acclimated. I mean, watch out for Sky Moore this year. Sky Moore might have just a giant leap this offseason and just open the floodgates.
Let's get to wrap it up for this mock draft. You know, before you finish this podcast, if you're on your phone, why don't you go ahead and hop on over and give us follows. You can follow me on Twitter at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real _Coach Red. Also, hop on over to YouTube where you can catch this. Search for Kicking It with Coach Red or at the real Coach Red. Go ahead, subscribe, like, notifications, and give us a comment. Why don't you?
Comment. Do it.
Oh, jeez. Rogue pussy just came into the thing. The pussycat.
Hey, she wanted love, all right?
Pussycat. Jeez,
Like,
Lefty. If
what?
people want to judge you by your reaction to that last comment, where can they find you?
Follow me on Twitter at Lefty France, on Instagram at DFrance13. Go over and follow our pod on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Follow us. Do it, freaking do it.
Kane, where you at?
You can find me on Twitter and YouTube at Killing Kane, where you might see a picture of this cute thing. So
follow him. Do it, freaking do it.
And you might also see a picture of his cat.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's gonna wrap it up. And you know what? As always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, peeps.
Peace.